Arkansas is the only state where a law bans nonprofit, tax-exempt, or government-funded hospitals from having retail pharmacy permits. A group of Arkansas legislators are working to change that with Senate Bill 58.
The genesis of the law, as we understand it, was really at that time, it was a community pharmacy owner in the legislature that didn't want state hospitals to have any advantages. So implemented this law that's 50 years old and really outdated at this point.
David Fortner, Vice President of Patient Services for Mercy Arkansas, is calling for change in the natural state with Senate Bill 58.
We really think this law needs to change. This bill needs to pass so that we can ultimately, again, serve our patients, increase access.
Increasing access to medications is at the forefront for bill sponsors. Fortner says right now there are gaps when it comes to access, and this law would close those gaps.
We just want the ability to be able to fill those meds for those patients, in particular when they're already at our sites of care. So if we're discharging somebody from the hospital or they've had surgery, we want to be able to provide meds for them as they leave. And really the big benefit to that, we know that patients have better outcomes.
As of now, the only restriction to operate retail pharmacy services are in nonprofit hospitals. For instance, VA hospitals and for-profit hospitals can provide full services.
There may be some restrictions on where a hospital could own a pharmacy. And really that would be that it'd be on the hospital campus, which we support, we think is very valuable because, again, our goal is to take care of the patients that are already seeing us.
Protesters opposing President Trump's immigration policies stood outside his international golf club in West Palm Beach today. Trump is trying to build congressional support for a massive bill to keep the government running, cut taxes, and fund border security. The move comes as Trump works to downsize the government by offering employees a buyout option and placing thousands of workers at USAID on administrative leave. Both actions are pending and under legal review. A group of U.S. representatives tried to enter the Department of Education to meet with Acting Secretary of Education Denise Carter. They were denied entry.
Already, Trump and Musk have placed DOGE staffers in the building where they have access to the private data of millions of students and families.
The Department of Education is among several government agencies President Trump has under the microscope, with help from Elon Musk and his program known as the Department of Government Efficiency. To the Middle East now. Tonight, scenes from the stage handover of hostages held by Hamas in Gaza has angered Israelis. CBS's Chris Livesay is in Tel Aviv, where the events have made an already tenuous ceasefire more fragile.
After enduring the unspeakable, an embrace says what words cannot. Or Levy reunited with his brothers and his parents. Levy and his wife Einav were at the Nova Music Festival. She was killed. He was kidnapped, leaving behind their 2-year-old son Almog. Now 3.5, he made drawings for his dad's big day. We spoke to Or's brother Michael 1 year after his abduction.
I promised my parents I'll bring him back. I don't know why and how I got the nerve to promise such a thing.
Today, flying back to Israel, Or held up a sign. Dad is on his way home. Also released, Ohad Ben-Ami, taken from his kibbutz on October 7, 2023, along with his wife, who was later released. And Eli Sharabi, whose wife and children were killed during the terror attack, now a shell of his former self. In Israel, there were tears for who survived and what they went through as Hamas paraded the frail hostages on stage, a show of strength for both a foreign and local audience. Dozens of Palestinian prisoners were also released from Israeli jails, going home to the West Bank and Gaza as part of the ceasefire agreement.
Well, Israel confirms it's set to begin negotiations for the second phase of this ceasefire agreement. The goals include the complete Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, releasing all remaining hostages, and an end to all hostilities. It is the most ambitious and complicated part of the ceasefire so far. Chris Livesay, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
Right now at 10, authorities are currently searching for 2 inmates that allegedly walked away from Jim E. Hamilton Correctional Center in Oklahoma. They are on your screen right now, and according to the Oklahoma Department of Corrections, 33-year-old Justin Turner and 42-year-old David James walked away from the LaFleur County Center at around 11:15 yesterday morning. Turner is 6 foot tall and 220 pounds. James is 5 foot 10 and 160 pounds. Anyone that sees the inmates or knows where their location is, they're encouraged to not approach them and call 911. A person was arrested last night after he crashed his car into JJ's Grill on Dixon Street in Fayetteville. Sergeant Stephen Mock with Fayetteville Police said that officers saw a car crash into JJ's. Mock said that 27-year-old Lance Snow attempted to take off in the car, but collided with a small retaining wall, almost hitting several people. He was arrested just before midnight last night and is facing several charges, including aggravated assault, reckless driving, and DWI. You can read the full story on our website, 5newsonline.com. Well, Northwest Arkansas is getting a new behavioral health facility called Genesis Ranch, and it's for girls ages 14 to 17. It's following the success of their Boys Camp Teen Challenge adventure. 5 News reporter Parker Abels has the details on Genesis Ranch.
A fully licensed treatment center combined with the love of God and relationship building. It's the most powerful weapon there is to fight the epidemic that's attacking the youth of our country.
Since 1973, Teen Challenge Adventure Ranch in Morrow, Arkansas has been helping troubled teen boys with their behavioral issues. Now, they're opening one for girls called Genesis Ranch.
Will be like a sister to Teen Challenge Adventure Ranch and Genesis Ranch. This is for the boys, this is for the girls. And the reason why we're so excited about this is starting a facility for the girls is because of the success that we have seen with the boys.
Their goal is to get these young women back on the right track.
And these girls their life-controlling issues have advanced to the place where they cannot have success at home anymore. They need a place where they can have 24/7 care.
And for them, there is nothing better than seeing these kids turn their life around.
I love seeing a young man find out he's worth something, that he has an identity, that there's value to his life, that there's a hope, there's a future for him when he thinks there isn't.
But these ranches aren't just for Arkansans.
A small portion of our clients come from Arkansas, the students and families that are local, but our web is far-reaching.
And because their success rate is over 70%, they have other camps from around the country coming to figure out their secrets.
You know, we have facilities from California to Maine that come here to see what it is that we're doing to have such a wonderful sustainability with the teen boys that we treat here.
In Morrow, covering news where you live, Parker Abels, 5 News.
Another nonprofit is marking a big milestone this week. Open Avenues in Rogers celebrates 50 years of helping people with disabilities. The organization hosted a birthday bash yesterday featuring open house tours and unveiling of a new mural. The president and CEO says their goal is to not only help with job training for those with disabilities, but to give them opportunities to thrive.
The next 50 years, I hope that what we do here becomes more understood as something that isn't unusual, that folks look at the labor and the retention rate and the actual mathematical profit margin that you can create by hiring adults with disabilities.
Open Avenues also held a special fundraising campaign for the milestone. On their website, the number shows the organization has already passed the $15,000 goal. When you think of natural disasters in Arkansas, you might think of tornadoes, floods, and winter storms. But what about earthquakes? 5 News anchor Darren Bobb tells us that lack of thought is exactly why the state wants you to be prepared.
We have earthquakes in Arkansas every 3 or 4 days. They just tend to be too small for most people to feel. And we are overdue for a large earthquake.
Hilda Booth is the state earthquake program manager for the State Department of Emergency Management. She says it's only a matter of time. A large earthquake hits the New Madrid Fault in East Arkansas.
Geologists all agree that that we need to prepare for something in the 6 point or greater realm for an earthquake.
It's why the state every February takes part in National Earthquake Awareness and Preparedness Month, which she says should be used to make sure you're ready should a quake hit.
We've always in disaster preparedness talked about people need to be prepared to take care of themselves for 3 days. And in rural Arkansas, and especially in eastern Arkansas, we encourage people to get 2 weeks ready.
Things like storing gallons of water, have extra medications on hand, having access to generators for oxygen tanks, and a survival kit for your car or truck. What's also critical, she says, is making sure you have a list of crucial information written down.
They don't have prescriptions written down. They don't have insurance and bank account information written down. And when a big earthquake happens, we probably aren't going to have our cell phones for quite a while. So all that information that we store in our phones, I try to get people to either write down or to use a computer and print something off where you've got all that information. It really makes a difference in recovery.
Bottom line, Booth says, take it serious and be prepared.
It's not just for earthquakes, but yes, absolutely. We have to prepare to take care of ourselves. If we don't, we become part of the problem.
Covering news where you live, I'm Darren Bobb, 5 News.